Hello everyone! A few weeks ago, I went on a road trip through 7 different national parks across 4 different states, and it was an amazing trip. Here I would like to share with you some highlights of each of the park, and we also stopped by a few big cities. So here's the map, the Google map, linking all the parks together, and we went counterclockwise. I wouldn't go into details of each park, but I would recommend a wonderful book that you will need if you like traveling in the US. The name of the book is Guide to National Parks of the United States. The book is published by the National Geographic, and in this book it tells you how many days you should spend in a park and where you should visit, where you should skip. So it's a great book. Okay, let's get started now. So here we are at our first stop, the Grand Canyon. I'm sure that most of you are familiar with the typical looking of the canyon, but here I'm going to share with you the scenic drive into the North Rim. If you come to the North Rim of the Grand Canyon, you must come to this narrow peninsula past the Angel's Window underneath. The Grand Canyon is pretty young. It's only 70 million years old. If you want to learn about how this canyon was formed over such a short amount of time, the link on the top right corner provides a very detailed explanation.
View.
别 scenic drive 就行。有点滑现在。
哦，漂亮。
哎，有人在下面玩。
好。
哦，那个 pan。
Narama。好看的嘞。
The third stop is the Mesa Verde National Park. Many people pronounce the name wrong. It is an extremely beautiful park and has a lot of legacy from ancestral Pueblo people who once lived in this area around the 1190s. And you can see that they live on a cliff. Here on this cliff, you can see an arch-shaped cave, a shallow cave, and some architectures built by these ancestral people. Here at the Sun Point overlook, you can see dozens of these cliff dwellings. And this is a very broad view, but also a very clear view of these cliff palaces. If there is only one place that you want to visit in this park, this would be it. Next up, we are at the Great Sand Dunes National Park. This is a wonderful place. It has the snow mountains, the great sand dunes, and a creek. And many kids and families like here. They love here. You only need one day here to explore the sand dunes. And you want to get to the high dunes. And you will quickly find out that climbing on sands is much harder than climbing on a hard ground. It takes you about a few hours, 3 hours or so, to get up and get down the high dune. About 3 hours driving away from the Great Sand Dunes National Park is a city called Colorado Springs. It is not a small city in Colorado, and I would highly recommend a few museums in this city. The first one is the Western Museum of Mining and Industry, where it has a very detailed introduction of different types of the rocks and how people in the past used these rocks for gold mining and other industry. And the next one is the U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Museum. It is very modern and uses a lot of high technology. You will truly be amazed. It's also a newly built museum. There's also a scenic drive that I would highly recommend. It's called the Skyline Drive. You can see how risky it is on the way.
狼的生命现在在熊的手里。
慢点。侬搿种高坡一定要一开始就要踏刹车，不要等到速度快了再踏刹车。
晓得。狼教练，熊在晓得啊，熊教练都晓得吧。
Then about 2 hours from Colorado Springs is the big city of Denver. Of course, there's a lot to visit in Denver, but I would recommend a few here. The first one is the conference center, the Big Bear, that looks scary, but at the same time very creative. The second place is the Garden of the Gods. It's extremely beautiful and it is free to visit. I would also like to recommend a restaurant. It is called the Buckhorn Exchange. They have elk meat, quail, buffalo, bison, all kinds of meat are there, and with an extraordinary environment. So this ends the part 1 of tips and guides to the Colorado, Plateau, and Rocky Mountains National Parks. See you in the next video.